Recently, I started reading a story called Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, and after reading 250 chapters of the Manwha, and now currently reading the novel, I liked it so much that I thought I should make videos explaining the story so more people can be introduced. When I went looking for videos, I found they were all quite long and badly paced. I wanted to make videos that could be consumed quickly, get to the point, and make people want to read the series for themselves. So without further ado, let's get into the explanation. The story starts with the protagonist who explains that his name is Kim Dokja, and 9 times out of 10, people misunderstand him thinking that he's saying that he is an only child, as the name Dokja means independent. Dokja comments that his father gave it to him because he wanted to become a strong and independent person, but in the end it was a curse. Dokja failed in life and graduated from a third-rate college and got employed as a contractor in a toxic corporation. To escape from life, he read novels. One such novel that he had been reading for over 10 years with over 3,000 chapters, 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, or TWSA for short. Over the course of 10 years, the novel's views began to get lower and lower until by chapter 100, Dokja was the only reader left. It was as if the novel was made solely for him. But this day was different. This was the day when TWSA's final chapter was released. Dokja stared at his phone as he read the final words of TWSA. That was when he was interrupted by a woman who commented on Dokja's addiction to his phone. The woman was Sangha Yu from HR at the company Dokja worked at. Dokja and Sangha engage in a conversation about the train and the company, but Dokja cannot stop thinking about how unbelievable it is that he ran into her, the most popular girl at his work. Dokja asks her if she usually takes the subway home, to which Sangha responds by saying she usually rides her bike home, but someone had stolen. During their brief interaction, Dokja understands why so many of the guys at the company are head over heels to her, but it doesn't concern him as they both have different lives. As Dokja once again looks at his phone, Sangha randomly says a phrase in Spanish which translates to, "Please lend me some money," and it is revealed that she is studying Spanish. She asks Dokja what he is reading and asks if it is a novel, to which he lies and says he is studying Korean. Sangha explains that she loves novels and lists off her favorite authors, then asks Dokja who his favorites are, to which he replies that she wouldn't know. Dokja once again looks at his phone and mentions that it is a special day for him because it's the day TWSA's final chapter came out. A novel he started when he was in 8th grade, a novel that stuck with him through all his hard times, such as when he was bullied or when he had to serve the military. A story that had practically become his life. He had tried to recommend it throughout its release, but others would only criticize him. When Dokja read the final chapter, he wanted to donate some money to the author as a thanks, but he couldn't, so instead wrote a short comment thanking the author and displaying his excitement for the epilogue. Dokja is once again interrupted by Sangha and starts talking once more about the company. It is revealed that it had been 1 year since both Dokja and Sangha started working for the company, and Sangha had been promoted to a full-time employee. Dokja congratulated her and thought about how if she were a character in a novel, then she would be the heroine. Dokja then wondered if his life were in a different genre, if he didn't live in a non-fiction world and instead fantasy, could he have been the protagonist? He immediately shuts down the thought. His life was non-fiction and he was no protagonist, only a reader. At that moment, Dokja received a message on his phone. A simple thank you from an account named TLS123, the author of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. The author tells Dokja that because of his persistence throughout the novel's serialization, they were able to finish their story and win a prize in a contest. Dokja, confused, asks what kind of contest, to which the author replies that he wouldn't have heard of it. He then adds that now that the novel was done, it would become paid content soon, and he wanted to give Dokja a special gift as a token of gratitude. Dokja gives the author his email and immediately receives a new message. Mr. Dokja Kim, starting at 7 PM today, TWSA will become paid content. This will help you. I wish you all the best. Dokja noted that it was now 6:55. 7 PM was only 5 minutes away. He got back on his phone to view TWSA once more, only to find that it was already gone. Did they remove series without prior notice when they become paid content, he thought? Suddenly the train comes to a stop and lights turn off. People scream. Some wonder if it is a terrorist attack. Dokja asks Sangha if she was okay and checked the time. It was 7 PM. The train intercom activated. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Please evacuate. Sangha asked Dokja what was going on, but he didn't reply. There was something far too familiar to him. Suddenly a voice sounded over the intercom. The free scenario of the 8612th planetary system has come to an end. The main scenario will now begin. It was at that moment that the genre of Dokja's life changed. "It's a Dokkaebi," someone exclaimed as the creature sprung into view. As the subway stopped and the cabin grew dark, Dokja could not stop thinking about one sentence in his head. The opening line of a story far too familiar to him. "Two small horns. A dowry creature wearing a straw garment was floating midair. It was too peculiar to be called a fairy, too malicious to be called an angel, and too innocent looking to be a devil. So it was." Suddenly there was a bright flash of light and a creature materialized. Dokja was in disbelief. "So we called it a Dokkaebi." It was at that moment that fiction and reality overlapped. The Dokkaebi began to speak in an unintelligible mix of characters. No one knew what was going on. That was except for Dokja. It was the Dokkaebi that appeared in the opening chapter of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, the creature that started the tragedy that was to come. Sangha believed it was speaking Spanish and asked Dokja if she should talk to it. Dokja immediately shut her down. Suddenly the Dokkaebi spoke in a language they could understand.
Testing. Can everyone hear me? Gosh. The language patch was malfunctioning for a bit. Can everyone hear me?
The Dokkaebi was quickly interrupted by a man who asked if the Dokkaebi was filming a movie and expressed his need to get to his audition. The Dokkaebi only laughed and mentioned the paywall once more. No one knew what it was talking about. The Dokkaebi stated that he had something very important to tell everyone, to which anger erupted in the crowd. One such child even asked their mother if the Dokkaebi was a cartoon. Doksha knew what was going to happen. He had to stop them from talking. He told Senga not to move and the Dokkaebi once again started talking.
I'm sure it's noisy here, isn't it? I told you to be quiet.
Heads explode all over the subway cabin.
We're not filming a movie. This isn't a dream or a novel, and it certainly isn't a reality that you are all familiar with.
Doksha was now certain that it was what he thought. He didn't want to admit it, but his disbelief faded as the blood pooled onto the floor. The Dokkaebi stated that everyone had lived comfortable lives up until now, but that time was now over.
Nothing is free in life.
Suddenly, a man approached the Dokkaebi and asked if it wanted money. Doksha noted that the man was Mr. Ham from the finance team at the company he worked at. The man offered 2 million, but the Dokkaebi declined and simply snapped his fingers, creating a fire that burned the money in the man's hands. The Dokkaebi explains that money has no value in the new world and lets the man off with a warning. If he ever pulls a stunt like that again, then his head will be blown up. The Dokkaebi sighs and snaps his fingers. Channel #BI-7623 has opened. The constellations are now making an entrance. Blue holograms appeared in front of everyone, displaying a cryptic message. The main scenario has arrived. Prove your value. The one or more living organisms. Penalty for failure? Death. The Dokkaebi wished everyone luck and expressed its expectation for an interesting story. Then in the same flash of light it appeared in, it had disappeared. Murmurs erupted. Sanga tried to call the police, but they wouldn't pick up. Doksha told her to stay calm and likened it to a game that the development team at his company was currently working on. He told her that they were now part of this game and all they had to do was follow the rules. But first they had to figure out the rules. Doksha thought about what had just happened.
A Dokkaebi with antennae, a litter of dead bodies in the subway cabin, trembling office workers covered in blood, an old lady praying fervently in her seat.
Doksha could no longer deny it. TWSA was becoming reality.
What do I need to do to survive?
He thought. In the chaos, someone took charge. He told everyone to calm down and ask for their attention. He expressed the severity of the situation and the need for someone to take charge. He then showed his ID. He was an army lieutenant who was currently serving in the unit 6502. He stated that he just received a message from his unit that explained that it was a level 1 national emergency and that he was trying to contact the army base but couldn't, nor could he contact the president. Meanwhile, Doksha was shaken. He knew that man, for that man was Lieutenant Hyung-sung Lee, or as he knew him by, the Steel Blade, one of the main supporting characters in TWSA. Doksha was in disbelief that a character from TWSA was now in reality, but questioned if this was really how he was first introduced. He was certain that Hyung-sung Lee had not appeared at this moment. Doksha knew that he only became a character after the first scenario.
What's going on?
He thought.
If I could just read it again, I would know exactly what's happening.
Suddenly, someone shouted that the Prime Minister is making a speech.
Dear citizens of Korea, there have been reports of unidentified terrorist attacks in Seoul, as well as in many other areas of the country.
Doksha remembered this from the story. At the time, he thought the speech would be believable to the citizens of South Korea, but now that he was hearing it, it sounded ridiculous. People wondered why it was the Prime Minister speaking and not the President, to which someone replied that they heard the terrorists had already got him. Someone claimed that that was a groundless rumor, but Doksha knew the truth. The Prime Minister's head exploded and the broadcast ended. The Dokkaebi once again showed up inside the cabin and expressed its frustration at the passengers.
I already told you. This is not some kind of joke, like terrorism. Do you think we're playing a game right now? According to my research, people in this country are good at games. Then let's raise the difficulty.
A holographic timer appeared in the center of the cabin and rapidly ticked down from 30 minutes all the way to 10. The remaining time has been reduced. You now have 10 minutes left.
As an added penalty, if the first death does not occur within the next 5 minutes, every living organism in this cabin will be terminated.
Chaos once again erupted in the crowd and Hyung-sung once again tried to calm them. Doksha noted that it was going exactly as he remembered, but something was still off. Hyung-sung Lee had already appeared, but he hadn't. If Doksha's memory was correct, then he should be appearing any moment now. Blood splattered on the window in the cabin behind. Someone in there had been killed. In Doksha's cabin, someone tried to block the door with their hand, only to be zapped with yellow electricity. There was some kind of invisible force on the door. No one may enter the cabin or leave until the scenario is complete. The Dokkaebi, angered at the fact that the cabin still hadn't begun killing one another, snapped its fingers to get the ball rolling. Another hologram appeared, a broadcast of a school classroom. Someone noted that it was K-pop Girls High School. Suddenly, chaos erupted in the classroom. You have exceeded the time limit. Proceeding with checkout. Everyone's heads exploded except one girl in the classroom clutching the neck of one of her fellow classmates. The survivor of the channel #BAY-23515 is Jihei Lee, a second-year student from Class B at Taepon Girls High School. The broadcast closed and the Dokkaebi asked what everyone thought. People began to move towards one another with bloodlust in their eyes. Doksha was thrown off. He still wasn't here. If he could just read TWSA once more, then he could know what was going on. A thought crossed Doksha's mind. He raced to the email that the author sent him and found an attached file. 3 ways to survive the apocalypse.txt. Doksha rubbed his eyes in disbelief. This was the present that the author had gifted him. After opening the attachment, a hologram appeared in front of Doksha. You have received an exclusive attribute. A skill slot has been unlocked. Doksha noted that each of TWSA's survivors receive a special attribute and skill linked to the attribute. It was just like a game.
Attribute window.
Doksha thought. Attributes window cannot be opened. Doksha didn't know what was going on. He tried some more, but it still wouldn't open, so he gave up and started to read the attached file. Suddenly another message appeared. Your attribute has now been activated. You are now able to read at a faster speed. Doctor's eyes turned blue as he read the first chapters of TWSA in under a minute. It was then that he realized that the cabin the events at the start of the story had taken place in was cabin 3707. He was in cabin 3807. The reason why the events were different was because he was in a different cabin. The cabin that the story had originally happened in was the cabin behind. Doctor wondered what happened to the people in his cabin in the original story.
He took a peek at the chaos and confusion that was happening in subway cabin 3807. It's probably too late for them after all. Only 2 people will survive in that cabin.
At that moment, the killing began in Doctor's cabin. A man with white hair picked up an elderly lady and punched her. Doctor knew who the 2 who would survive were. If something wasn't done, then he and Sanger would die. Mr. Hand grabbed the man with white hair's arm and told him to stop, to which the man with white hair replied that he didn't get it. No one was going to save them and someone had to die. They had to be the ones to pick who would die.
It's kill or be killed. Think wisely. The world you knew just ended, and in this new world, we have new rules to follow.
Doctor knew this man as Namroon Kim, one of the earliest adopters of the new world in TWSA. Namroon continued to beat up the elderly woman, but no one stopped him, for they knew he was right. If no one died within the next 5 minutes, then everyone else would die. Doctor remembered a line he had read a long time ago.
Executioners pull the leather off the electric chair at the same time. They do so in order to conceal who really killed the prisoner.
As Doctor witnessed more and more people start to beat up the woman, he thought that it was as if he was reading that part of the novel. The elderly woman would end up becoming the first victim, but Doctor thought, was it really okay to let her die just so he and everyone else could live? Sanger tried to rush in to stop the fighting, but Doctor stopped her.
If you go, they'll kill you too.
Doctor acknowledged Sanger's bravery, but in the end, she could not change the course of the story, because she wasn't the heroine. Doctor told Sanger to stay where she was, promising to never bother her again so long as she'd listen to him just this once. Doctor took a deep breath and looked at the situation unfolding. It was too early for him to intervene. The reason he hadn't interfered sooner wasn't because of Namroon Kim or because he condoned his savage ways. It was because he was waiting for the right moment. Suddenly there was an explosion in the cabin behind. This was the moment Doctor had been waiting for. He ran forward towards the crowd and shoved them all away from the woman. He noted that it may seem like he pushed Namroon Kim to save the old lady, but that wasn't the only thing he had been aiming for. He looked around and found what he was looking for. A kid holding a container. Doctor ran towards the kid and reached into the container, giving the kid a handful of what was inside and taking the rest for himself. He then stood up and shouted to the rest of the cabin.
Please stop what you were doing. Killing that old lady doesn't mean you're going to live. Let's say we kill the old lady. What next? Yes. If that old lady dies, we will be able to buy some time because we killed something within the given time of it. But what will happen next? If what the Dokubi said was true, it means we all have to kill one person each. So who will you kill? Will you kill the person besides you?
Namroon Kim steps forward.
Isn't it obvious? We'll kill losers like you next.
Doctor knew he would say that, and so he proposed an alternative.
Why gamble with our lives when there's a way to survive this without becoming a murderer?
Questions erupted in the crowd.
Have you forgotten this scenario didn't say we had to kill a human being? It said we had to kill one or more living organisms.
Doctor held an insect between his fingers. Everyone immediately knew what he meant. If they killed the insects, then they could survive. Now the madness that they had been hurtling towards the old lady was now coming towards Doctor. But even through this, Doctor wasn't scared. He was smiling.
Was I always this kind of person?
He killed the insect in his hand and threw away the container, insects falling out and onto the ground. The first kill mission has been accomplished. He will receive 100 coins as bonus. Everyone began to look for the insects in a frenzy, except for Namroon Kim, who instead approached Doctor and asked why he had done that when he could have just handed over the bugs.
There were only 3 insects left in that box.
Namroon Kim laughed.
So you threw them, since not all of us can live.
Yes.
Namroon looked at Doctor with an evil grin on his face. He didn't believe that Doctor would pull something like that just for that reason.
Be honest. You just wanted to watch them fight for their lives, didn't you?
Suddenly a message appeared in front of Doctor. Personal skill, character profile activated. A panel appeared in front of Doctor listing off all of Namroon Kim's attributes, skills, stats, and provided a general evaluation of who he was as a character. Doctor noted that Namroon Kim had the edgelord attribute, something somewhat uncommon in TWSA due to most of those with it committing suicide early. But Namroon Kim was different. He would later be bestowed with the nickname Delusional Demon and adapted to the world at an illusional speed.
Team up with me.
A message appeared in front of Doctor. Namroon Kim has expressed interest in you. Your understanding of Namroon Kim has increased.
Sorry, I work alone.
Doctor noted that if he hadn't read TWSA, he probably would have made a different choice. But Doctor is a reader who knows about him and his future. Namroon tells Doctor to get out of his way because he has unfinished business with the old lady, but Doctor stops him. Namroon Kim asks him if he's now trying to act like a hero or if he has a split personality. It was at that moment that Doctor realized just how much he hated Namroon Kim as a character in TWSA.
People like you make me sick.
A message appears. Namroon Kim despises you. Your affinity towards Namroon Kim has slightly decreased. Namroon throws a fist towards Doctor.
I said move.
Dokja noticed the purple aura enveloping Namroon Kim's fist. This was the skill of the Edgelord attribute, Grimdark Awakening. Dokja couldn't believe he had already activated it. Dokja dodged and Namroon Kim looked at his own fist in awe at how strong he was. Dokja now realized why the protagonist of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse had recruited him, despite the fact that he's a psychopath. Your understanding of Namroon Kim has increased. You have unlocked level 1 of your personal skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Dokja was in disbelief. It was a skill he didn't know. Namroon continued to try to attack Dokja, but he kept on dodging.
Why aren't you getting hit?
Level 1 of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint activated. Dokja could now read Namroon Kim's attacks almost like they were words in a novel. Right shoulder. He dodged to the side. In the face. He dodged backwards. In that moment, all Dokja could do was dodge. He just had to hold out a little bit longer. There was now 2 minutes left. Namroon Kim looked at the old lady and Dokja realized he had to protect her. If Namroon Kim kills the old lady, then he would move on to the next scenario, something that Dokja could not let happen. Namroon Kim predicted Dokja's move and pulled out a knife. Heart. Dokja dodged to the side with the old lady in his arms, but he couldn't dodge the knife completely and it cut his shoulder. It hurts, but he had to keep pushing through it. Dokja knew that death was right around the corner. This was now a world based on survival of the fittest, but to Dokja, it had always been like that. The strong would always prey on the weak. Nothing had changed. Rather, the rule had become clearer. If Dokja wanted to survive, he must also adhere to that rule. Namroon Kim once again began to approach him, so he proposed a question.
Is an insect egg also an organism?
Namroon Kim responded with confusion.
What the hell are you suddenly talking about?
The answer is yes.
Dokja crushed a handful of insect eggs in his hand. Messages bombarded him. You have killed an organism. You obtained 100 bonus coins.
How am I supposed to know that?
Asked Namroon Kim as he struck another blow with his knife towards Dokja. Would you like a tutorial on coin usage?
Skip it.
Dokja thought.
And I will invest 2,700 coins into my stamina.
A message appeared. Dokja's stamina had grown from level 1 all the way to level 10. Your physical durability has greatly increased. Namroon Kim's knife struck Dokja's chest but didn't penetrate it.
What? How?
Namroon Kim was confused. Dokja simply replied with random knowledge on grasshoppers, that they lay over 100 eggs at a time during mating season. He then looked back at Namroon Kim with a cold glaze.
I'm not the one who's gonna die. You are.
The timer had now ticked down to less than 1 minute. Namroon Kim kept slashing at Dokja, but none of the attacks were penetrating. Timer slowly ticked down until it eventually reached 4, then 2, and then finally 0. The timer's run out. Proceeding with checkout. Namroon Kim screamed as his head exploded. Main scenario number 1. Prove your worth has ended. Number of survivors? 5. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope I explained this first episode well enough. These first 3 episodes are all releasing at once, and this has been a long process in the making. I hope you all liked the video. As always, I'm open to feedback if I missed anything important, but in that case, I would also recommend you all to go read the manhwa or the novel, as it is very good. I'm not sure if I'll keep uploading, so I don't want to pressure you all into liking or subscribing, but it would still be appreciated. Surprisingly, this actually took a while to edit and put together, so thanks to everyone who stayed till the end.